Okay, here we go. This. Okay. Uh, Let me get this all set up. This movie, this epic, you need to see it. That's it. That's my review. You need to see this. The rest of this movie, or the rest of this video, is all spoilers. I have stated my case. If you don't like Marvel movies, you're not going to go see it. Like, that's it. Like, just go see the movie. Fuck, even if you're a DC fanboy, go see this movie so that you can go, DC, why aren't you doing this? Like this is this is the kind of movie that deserves the title Avengers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Civil War, I consider Avengers 2 and the first Avengers. We don't talk about Age of Ultron. So give me 1 second and I'll start the spoilers up. Okay, so for those who have not seen Thor's Ragnarok, or just Thor Ragnarok, I will give you a recap of what has happened. Uh, Asgard is gone. Thor, Loki, and Hemdall gather up the surviving Asgardians on a ship, and they fly off with Hulk and Valkyrie. And the post-credit scene ends with Thanos' ship in front of them. This movie immediately jumps right after the fight. Uh, Most of the ship is killed. Heimdall is horribly injured. Loki and Thor has been beat to death, near death, and all is lost. Immediately, Loki is threatened by Thanos to give him the Tesseract. And Thor is like, oh, the Tesseract was destroyed on Asgard. We don't have it. And then Loki conjures the thing up. And, well, let me go back a few steps. So before Loki summons up the Tesseract, he's given the choice. Give the Tesseract, hand me the Tesseract, or I'll take off your brother's head. And Loki says, yeah, fuck him. And so as Thor is screaming in agony, that's when Loki finally summons up the Tesseract. So there's that. Uh, Thor is spared. Loki hands him the Tesseract. Hey, Jen. And spoilers, by the way, I'm just gonna warn you, this is all spoilers for Infinity War. Like, I did 30 seconds at the opening. Go see it if you haven't seen it. So if you don't care about spoilers, listen on. So Thanos now has the Tesseract, crushes the damn thing, pulls out the fucking the Space Stone, plops that fucker right into the slot in one of the knuckles, and all of a sudden Hulk comes out of nowhere with Loki saying, "We have a Hulk." Hulk starts fighting him and immediately gets the shit beat out of him. Gets the shit beat out of him. Thor tries fighting him, gets the shit beat out of him again. Basically, they're like, even with just two of the stones, Thanos is just unstoppable. And yeah, Loki tries pulling off his whole mischief, like his mischief aspect of his title, the God of Mischief. Tries stabbing Thanos when he tries telling him, "Oh, I'll serve you" and whatnot, and trying to do all that, and immediately gets strangled to death in front of Thor. And Thor tells him, "You will die for this." And Thanos is like, "Nah." Heimdall, with the last of his strength, teleports Hulk back to Earth and is brutally stabbed to death. So now Heimdall and Loki are dead. We don't see Valkyrie. She's probably dead because the ship blows up. All the Asgardians are pretty much dead, save for Thor. Because he's saved by the Guardians of the Galaxy. But that's later. It cuts back to Earth. Bruce Banner slams into Doctor Strange's mansion while he's trying to go down to the deli to buy sandwiches for him and Wong. Uh, Tony is jogging around. He starts talking about how he had a dream of having a kid with Pepper. And that's when Doctor Strange is like, "Come with me. We need to talk about the death of the universe." Tony then has a pretty good conversation with Bruce, trying to catch him up with what he's missed on Earth, along with talking to Wong and Doctor Strange about who Thanos is, because uh, Bruce knows who Thanos is because he was there, but he also knows because of what Loki and or Thor have told him. Give me 1 second. So they realize what the fuck's going on, the sheer gravitas of these Infinity Stones, and that's when they notice that there's a lot of panic going on outside. Tony runs out with Doctor Strange and Bruce and Wong, and there's a giant fucking ring ship hovering down because Thanos sends four of his acolytes to claim the two stones on Earth: the Time Stone, which Doctor Strange has, and the Mind Gem or the Mind Stone, which is in Vision's head. And thus begins a massive fucking fight. Peter finds out what's going on. He's able to hop off the bus from a field trip and swing into action. And we get some pretty badass. There's a lot of great fights in this movie. The opening fight with Doctor Strange, Wong, Iron Man, and Spider Man fighting the two acolytes is great. The quips are amazing. Uh, Tony calls one of the acolytes Squidward. He also practically sums up everything to Peter in a nice, neat little bow. Two evil aliens are wrecking the city and they're trying to capture the wizard, save the wizard. If that's not comic booky, I don't know what is. Like, you literally have a man with nanomachines now fighting alongside a 15-year-old with spider powers and two wizards against aliens for a stone, a magical stone. And yeah, they're able to beat one of them. Kind of looks like Hulk, but he wields a giant pick hammer. They teleport him out of the way, and I'm just going to call him Squidward. Squidward is able to capture Doctor Strange and beam up him and Peter. Peter's on the outside of the ship and he starts suffocating. And Tony's like, you got to just jump off. Like, I'll catch you. You're going to suffocate up there. You're losing oxygen. And that's when he calls up the Iron Spider suit for Peter. And he activates the parachute so that Peter's not on the ship. Tony cuts his way into the ship, and now it's just him and Doctor Strange because Wong needs to keep the inner sanctum protected just in case. And what Tony doesn't know is that Peter's still on board. Peter finds a way in, and we jump to another plot point. Bruce, because Bruce can't turn into the Hulk. Hulk does not want to come out. Bruce grabs Tony's cell phone that Cap gave him after the end of Civil War, and he calls up the Avengers, or Cap and Black Widow. We jump to Scotland. Vision has been off the grid with Scarlet Witch for a few weeks, and they're in Scotland, and they're living a life together with as much time as they have left before they have to go back. And they notice on the news that New York's been attacked, and that's when the two other acolytes attack them. And they fuck them up. But not before Captain America in this movie. Captain America is just great in the movie series. Cap comes in with Falcon and Black Widow, and they beat the fucking shit out of the two acolytes, and they have to retreat. And they bring Scarlet Witch and Vision to Wakanda so that he can stay safe. And Bucky is alive and well. He gets a brand new arm in the movie, made by Black Panther and his people. And they are caught up by Bruce. Bruce pretty much exposits what's going on to them off screen, thankfully. And they prepare to pretty much defend the Mind Stone in Wakanda. We cut back to Doctor Strange, who's being tortured by Squidward. Tony comes in after he finds out that Peter's on board, and Peter drops an Aliens reference on how to beat Squidward. And what happens is Peter distracts him long enough so that Tony can cut a hole to decompress the chamber that they're all in and suck Squidward out. And once that happens, the ship is brought to Titan automatically. And so Doctor Strange, Peter, and fucking Tony are stuck on this ship, heading towards Titan. We then jump to Thor being woken up by the Guardians. He tells them what is going on, what Thanos is doing, and that Thanos is going to go to nowhere to get the Reality Stone from the Collector. And he is not going with them. And he commandeers their escape pod to go to a Forge world where he can make a Titan killer, which is basically he wants to make a weapon that will be able to kill Thanos. And Rocket and Groot are up to the challenge and joining him, leaving Mantis, Gamora, Star-Lord, and Drax to go to nowhere to try and stop Thanos from getting the Reality Stone. And so Thor, a Norse god, a raccoon, and a talking tree fly off to forge a hammer in space. God, I don't know who else could make that. I don't know who else could take that concept and make it good, other than Marvel, with how well they're doing this. So, anyways, and so Gamora during their flight to nowhere tells Star-Lord, I know something that Thanos doesn't know about, and if he catches me, I need you to kill me. And she asks him to promise her that, and he says, yes, I promise you I will. We go to nowhere. Star-Lord and the rest of the Guardians go there. They see Thanos torturing the Collector, and that's when Drax tries to just charge out and attack him, and Mantis knocks him out. And when Drax falls down, that alerts Thanos. Thanos then immediately starts fighting them, and Gamora is able to stab him in the throat, and he dies. And everybody's all cheerful and whatnot until the entire scene changes from a normal nowhere to a flaming wreckage of what it was, because Thanos already has the Reality Stone. He's just fucking with him. Drax gets up and tries charging at him, uh, and Thanos just turns him into chunks. Like he literally falls apart into blocks. Mantis tries jumping towards him, and he turns her into ribbons. And here's the fucked up thing: they're both conscious. They know what's going on with them. And he captures Gamora, and she asks Star Lord to kill her. And he tries in vain not to, but but then he finally relents, and when he pulls the trigger, bubbles come out, and Thanos disappears with Gamora. And then once he's gone, Drax and Mantis are able to come back to their normal bodies, and they hop back onto the ship, and they start flying to Titan. We then cut to Thor, Rocket, and Groot. And they come to, it's kind of like a ring world around a neutron star. And it's dead. Like nothing's moving. There's like 6 rings that are supposed to be turning around constantly. And the neutron star is supposed to be a neutron star. And when they go inside, they start looking around and they find an infinity gauntlet mold standing on one of the benches. And that is when they are attacked by a giant Peter Dinklage dwarf. Peter Dinklage is in this movie as a giant dwarf. And he explains to Thor. Well, first he calls out Thor and he's like, Asgard was supposed to protect us and whatnot. And Thor's like, Asgard is no more. Like it was destroyed. And then Peter Dinklage's character tells him that Thanos came here and demanded him to make a gauntlet that could contain all the power of all 6 Infinity Stones. And if he didn't do that, he would kill everybody. Well, when he did it, he killed everybody, and then he dunked Peter Dinklage's hands into molten metal. And so now his hands have just been are casted in metal, and he can't make anything else. And so Thor's like, well, that's not going to be able to stop you. Like, if you know how to do something that's in your mind, like your hands don't matter. Like my talking tree companion and the rabbit, because apparently Thor doesn't know what the fuck a rabbit is or a raccoon, but he's like, rabbit will help us. And so Peter Dinklage is like, oh, you're gonna have to start the star by moving the rings. And so Thor and Rocket hop into the ship. Thor grabs onto one of the rings and has Rocket fucking fly as fast as he can with the thrusters so that they can start moving it. And once they ignite the fucking star, the channel that they have built around it that opens up to pretty much start the forge breaks. And so Thor sacrifices himself to open up this gate. And Peter Dinklage's character is like, you will probably die doing that. Like, you're going to take the full brunt and power of a star. And Thor's badass, and he's like, I don't care as long as I'm able to bring Stormbreaker, which is the name of the weapon, into being. And so Thor gets blasted by the sun, and then he gets launched. Once it's fully smelted and casted, he lets go, and he just gets thrown into space. And then Groot, Peter Dinklage's character is like, "Where's the shaft? Like, where's the handle for this thing?" And so he starts running around, and Groot grabs onto it, still burning hot, grabs onto it, and forms the staff out of his hand, and then he cuts his arm off. So now it has a shaft for this hammer axe. And we then cut back to Thanos and Gamora, and she starts telling him about how much she hates him, how much he tortured her, the fact that she killed half of her people. And he was like, oh, and so he tells her that the whole reason he's doing this is because everything is finite. Resources are finite in the galaxy, in the universe, and that everything will collapse in on itself if people continue on the people continue to progress and populate as fast at the rate they're going. And so in his mind, he is saving the universe. Gamora's species was going to be was on the brink of collapse because of resources being so scarce. And so once he killed half of the planet's population, the planet was able to sustain this half of the population, and he considers it a paradise now. And that he's going to do this to everyone in the universe once he gets all the stones. Oy. So he brings her to Nebula, and she is completely disassembled, floating in stasis, and he starts torturing her. And the reason why he starts torturing Nebula is because Gamora knows where the Soul Stone is. And he needs the soul because he needs the Soul Stone. Is if she doesn't tell her or tell him, he's going to kill Nebula. And she finally relents and tells him what planet it is on. And he brings her with him. Nebula breaks out and kills the guard that was fucking keeping an eye on her, and she escapes on a small craft. Uh, Gamora and Thanos go to the planet, and they start climbing up the mountain pass, and they encounter Red Skull. And Red Skull was banished to this planet when he was holding onto the Tesseract, and he cannot get the Soul Stone because of the puzzle or riddle that it needs, which is it needs a soul for a soul, a sacrifice. But it needs weight. Like you just can't throw anybody in. And so Gamora starts laughing at Thanos because he can't feel, he doesn't love anybody. That he like the universe has just pretty much told him like go fuck yourself. And that's when he starts crying, and she's like, haha, you're crying, whatnot, crying that you failed. And Red Skull turns to her and goes, no, he's not crying for himself. And she realizes what's happening, and he grabs a hold of her and casts her off a fucking cliff and kills her, and he gets the Soul Stone. And then once he gets the Soul Stone, he starts heading to Titan because he thinks his acolytes have the Mind Stone and the Time Stone. uh we then cut back to Tony, Doctor Strange, and Peter. They crash land onto the planet, and that's when they meet the Guardians of the Galaxy, who start fighting them. And once they realize that all of them are here to kill Thanos, they make a plan. And while they're talking about the plan, they notice that fucking Doctor Strange is seizing out. And when they ask him what's going on, he says that he has gone into the future and looked at every single outcome that could have come to this with this fight. And it's like 14.6 million outcomes he's witnessed. And Tony's like, "Well, how many do we win?" And Doctor Strange goes, "One." And so Thanos appears, and they fucking fight him with every little fiber of their fucking being in this goddamn fight. Thanos literally breaks the moon with the Infinity Gauntlet and throws the chunks into the surface of the planet. Uh, but but they're able to stop him. Drax stabs him in the leg and holds onto one leg. Peter grabs one of his arms. Uh, Star Lord is able to help fucking slow him down. Tony grabs one of the other arms. Doctor Strange has him pinned with his magic, and then Mantis jumps on him and puts him to sleep. And so Tony starts trying, and the whole plan is take the gauntlet away from him. If we can get the gauntlet away from him, we win. And so Tony trying to grab it, and he's like, "Peter, help me out with this." So Spider-Man comes over, and they're both of them are yanking on this fucking gauntlet to take it off of him. And that's when they start hearing Thanos mumbling to himself, and that's when Star Lord asks, "What what do you mean? What's going on? Where's Gamora?" And Nebula appeared at the same time, and she started joining in on the fight. And she's like, "He killed her because both of them went to the planet where the Soul Stone was. He has the Soul Stone. She never came back with him." And when Star Lord finds out about this, he starts attacking him and wakes him up. And they were so fucking close to getting that Infinity Gauntlet off of him. He knocks them all aside and just starts a brutal beatdown of everybody. Just a total fucking smackdown. 'Twas glorious. Once he gets practically everybody beaten, it's down to Tony and Doctor Strange. Uh, Tony's Tony is stabbed by a chunk of metal that he forms. Uh, oh god, yeah. He forms a chunk of metal because his arms, his suit can now turn into things like weapons and whatnot. So he forms a blade and he tries stabbing him. Thanos snaps it off because he's got three of the fucking Infinity Stones. Stabs Tony. Completely, he's broken the armor and everything. And as he's standing there slowly dying, Doctor Strange is like, "Fine, you can here take this fucking take the time stone, just spare his life." And so he does. And with the time stone, he disappears. No, I'm sorry. He had four of the stones. Now he has five. So all he needs now is the Mind Stone. And once he disappears, Tony turns to Doctor Strange and he's like, "Why would you do that?" And Doctor Strange just turns to him and goes, "We're playing the end game now." We then jump to Wakanda. Now in Wakanda, everybody's prepared. They are going to try and surgically remove because with the way Vision has been built, it's synapses and neurons like a human brain connected to the Mind Stone. And so everybody's worried that if they take the Mind Stone out, Vision will die. But Banner points out that parts of Banner's mind, Tony's mind, Ultron's, Jarvis's, and the Mind Stone are connected. So if they take the Mind Stone out, the other four parts or the other four personalities will be able to remain. And give me a second. And so they decide that some Wakandan scientist will try to surgically remove the synapses and neurons that connect the Mind Stone to Vision's body, so that he'll still retain sentience and he'll still live, but they'll be able to take the Mind Stone out of him and destroy it. Like that's the whole plan. Sadly, the Chitaru show up, and one of their drop ships tries crashing into Wakanda, but the energy shield holds and completely eviscerates it. And like 15 fucking more land right then and there on the outside perimeter. And Cap, Black Widow, Bucky, War Machine, Bruce is in the Hulkbuster armor, Falcon, Black Panther, and the Wakandan army are there. And they met War Machine at Avengers headquarters, and War Machine even tells the US government, like, go fuck yourself. Like, they're not war criminals. I'm not going to arrest Cap and the other fugitive superheroes. Like, this matter needs to be dealt by these people. And so he's there with them, and it's I got Phantom Menace flashbacks, like really bad, because they're like six-limbed monstrosities that get sent out by the two, like the remaining acolytes of Thanos, and they just start suiciding right into the fucking force field. Like, they break through, and the shield just overpowers them and cuts them in half, cuts limbs off, heads off, you name it, and they start just feeding themselves in. Like, they start overloading the shields, and some of them start jumping out. Like, it gets bad, and there's so many of these fucking Chitaru that they start moving out of the way to outflank them. And so Black Panther does what the only solution so that they're not overwhelmed, which is open up the shield in front of them so that they cut there's pretty much a bottleneck, and they can try and hold them. And so and the whole goal is hold out long enough so that the Mind Stone can be destroyed. And that is when Thor, Groot, and Rocket Raccoon appear, and they start fucking shit up alongside the rest of the Avengers. And it is a glorious fight. It is beautiful. Like, all of the acolytes die. It's great. It's oh, God. It's just eye candy. It is comic book. It is a comic book put to cinema. Like, the Russo brothers are amazing. They should just film all the movies. All the Marvel movies should be filmed by the Russo brothers. And so once they start once they become fucking overrun, Scarlet Witch is like, okay, I can't stay here any longer. I have to help the rest of the Avengers. So she leaves Vision unguarded and starts fighting alongside everybody. And that's when one of the acolytes sneaks in and tries to get Vision. And so everybody tries scrambling to save Vision, and Cap, Bucky, and War Machine and Falcon are able to do it with Vision's help. And that's when Thanos finally comes. And Thanos beats the shit out of everybody, and Scarlet Witch and Vision have a really sad moment where he tells her to kill him, and she does. She holds off Thanos as best as she can with one hand, and with the other hand, she obliterates Vision. And once she does that, fucking Thanos uses the time gem. He uses the time stone, and he rewinds time, and he brings back that Infinity Stone along with Vision, and he rips it right out of his fucking head. And he has all six now. And he beats the ever loving shit out of everybody until Thor plants his fucking axe in his chest. And before he dies, he snaps his finger, and there's just a big old flash of white light. Thanos disappears. Everybody is confused as to what's going on. And now comes the saddest fucking part of the movie. Give me a second. So they all start looking around, wondering what's going on. Like, what did he do? And that's when Bucky starts walking over, and he immediately turns to dust. And Cap walks over, and he starts touching the ground, and there's just ash. and then Falcon turns to ash while War Machine's trying to look for him. And then Black Panther reaches over to one of the chicks that fought with him, and he's like, "You're not going to die today," and he turns to ash. And then Groot's laying there, and he goes, "I am Groot," and Rocket starts seeing him disappearing into ash, and Rocket starts panicking. Oh, God. And then we cut to Titan, where Tony, Peter, Drax, Star Lord, Mantis, and all them are, and fucking Drax and Nebula and Mantis, Star Lord disappear into ash, and then Doctor Strange says like this is the only outcome, and then he turns to ash, and then Peter, oh God, it's Peter, he starts panicking because he's like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good, sir. Please, I don't want to go. And then he turns to ash in Tony's arms. And half of the fucking universe at the snap of a finger is gone. Just gone. And we cut to fucking Thanos on a small little farm with a destroyed Infinity Gauntlet with all the Infinity Stones on it, looking up and smiling. Fade to black. And that's what happens. The majority of the fucking Avengers are dead. And Thanos has won. What a depressing movie. Just depressing. Now, here are some theories that this is what I think is going to happen. These are my thoughts. So, during the movie, when Squidward is trying to take the time stone out of the necklace, the amulet of Agamotto off of Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange flat out tells him that there's a spell infused into the amulet, and if he kills him, there's no way he'll be able to do it. And it's a simple fucking spell that's protecting it. When Doctor Strange looked into the future and saw one single fucking outcome where they won, and he hands over the time stone and says, "We're playing Endgame now." I feel like Doctor Strange tampered with the time stone. I think that's what he did, and I think that's what's going to play into the fourth Avengers movie. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that is how they are going to beat them. So I feel like that's what's going to happen in the fourth movie. I also think that Thor will die in the next Avengers movie. If he doesn't die, then I feel like Cap will die. I feel like Cap will sacrifice himself, and the this is what really sucks is that they destroyed Mjolnir, and I really wanted a badass scene of Cap being worthy enough to lift it in the fight and using Mjolnir against Thanos. That'd be awesome. That'd be really fucking awesome. But yeah, movie is great. Star Lord is an asshole through the whole fucking movie. but it plays into character. Everybody's great. I love the movie. Uh, hey Sten. Uh, just wow, what a depressing fucking movie Infinity War was. I will say though, I believe, yeah, it's Ant Man and the Wasp is next. I'm kind of hoping that Ant Man and Wasp show up in the next movie along with Hawkeye, and I kind of wish that the Defenders came into it too, but I know they won't because yeah, I kind of don't think they will. They're probably dead, but yeah. So this is a pretty quick one for the most part for a review because I pretty much just shorten the whole plot. It's a bunch of B plots essentially, but yeah, great fucking movie. Everybody should watch it, including DC fanboys that hate Marvel and Marvel movies. Captain Marvel, she should appear in this movie before her own solo movie. But then again, like with Thanos killing off half the universe's population, like it still gives them the chance of being like, well, yeah, like this is why she didn't appear. But yeah, like great movie. Can't say it enough. So thanks, thanks for coming. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys. I'll do a stream tomorrow.